Oh, so close, I forgot to unmute myself. And we are live.
Love it. And can the people hear me?
They sure can. You
Excellent.
better believe it.
Love it. How you doing, DJ?
I'm not too bad. I am not too bad, thank you, Kieran. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I just had my traditional pre-stream soda bread with a bit of butter on it.
Oh, oh, amazing.
Just a simple man. I like simple food.
It's been a while since I have tasted the bountiful beauty of a bit of soda
Bit of
bread.
soda bread.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Love it.
yeah.
Oh,
I miss it.
but yeah. Otherwise good. Had a funny and slightly stressful thing happen um yesterday, where I received an Instagram direct message from a friend of mine, who shall
Right.
remain nameless, who said, "Hey, Terry's stag is on Saturday. By the way, we're going for a walk in Hoth at 3 p.m. and then drinks later. Also, can you invite these like 10 people?" Now, my friend Terry lives in Canada. I had no idea he was back in Ireland this week. I had no idea there was a stag. He's already married, but he hasn't been back since. And yeah, this whole thing is very short notice. And Ian basically seemed to say, "Hey, I'm organizing it, but actually, can you invite these 10 people?" So I feel like I'm now organizing it. So messaged a bunch of people, got several very annoyed responses, being like, "I can't. I totally would have if I had more notice. Thanks for the short notice." And I'm like, "It's not my fault.
Yeah.
I literally didn't know until 4 hours ago." So
So it
pretty cool situation.
it sounds like best man duties have been passed on to yourself at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I suppose that's fine considering the wedding has already happened. So I feel like
Yeah.
I've done my job successfully there.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah, I
I
don't know. Strange.
shout out to Terry, by the way.
Oh yeah,
But
friend of the show.
I don't understand what goes through people's heads sometimes when whenever they want to arrange these big things and literally have given you less than 4 days notice.
Yeah, I don't. I think Terry maybe doesn't even know about it because I didn't know Terry was back in the country. Then I checked my Facebook, which I rarely check these days, and he had messaged me on Sunday, one day
Oh,
previous, saying, "Hey, going back to Ireland, very last minute, I know, but it'd be great to see you." So I think Ian has taken it on himself to organize
right.
this surprise fake stag do. But
Okay, okay, okay.
yeah, I think that's the
I
situation. Yeah,
I see. This makes more sense to me now because I had it in my
yeah,
head that it was the guy himself, Terry, coming
yeah.
over and then saying to everybody, "Let's all go out and get
Hey,
hammered outside." Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But
Like,
no, and it'll be great to see it. I'm happy to go to it and everything. But yeah, just a slightly weird situation.
yeah. Well, I'm sure it'll be good to catch up with people you haven't seen in a while.
Exactly. Yeah. No, Terry is one of my best friends since secondary school, like since we were like 13, 14 or whatever. So
There you go.
be great to see him. He was a Yu-Gi-Oh guy though, wasn't a Magic guy. So
Oh no!
yeah, I don't know about
All
that.
right, just, no. Let's never mention him again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Although if there's any Yu-Gi-Oh players in the chat, there's still time for
Get
you to
out.
repent your ways. Yeah. Okay, or that. Yeah, or that. Either works.
Oh, and we have lost our only viewer as a result of that. I'm just yeah.
There we go.
There
It's
it
all good.
goes.
But yeah, shall we do a little intro here?
Yeah, let's go for it. Take it away.
Okay. You're listening to Pocket Jaces, the podcast where your hosts Kieran and DJ bring you magic musings, poker ponderings, and general gaming's goings on with you one brag, beat, and brew at a time. And I
Chef's
give myself
kiss.
a 9 out of 10 for that one. 9 out of 10.
Humble. Be humble.
Humble. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But, that's okay. Let's move on. But yeah, this week we're going to be talking about some RCQ prep that you've been doing, DJ.
You.
We also, first things first, I think we're going to just go through. Maro dropped his usual set teaser yesterday, where he kind of cryptically tells people bits and pieces of what we can see in the upcoming set. So Dominaria United is coming out. I don't know the release date for it actually. I looked it up. It is September 9th. So
That's
yeah,
not too far away,
that's
actually.
pretty cool. Through 3 weeks away or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Will you
that's
be
pretty
going to a
good.
pre-release?
I think this might be the first pre-release I attend in like a long time. Actually, yeah.
Nice.
Like I loved the first Dominaria, not the set named Dominaria, not the first Dominaria
Mm-hmm.
set. But and I know it's like a much beloved plane and setting for a lot of like older Magic fans. You know, a lot of the classic storylines and stuff happened there. I played a lot of Teferi Hero of Dominaria in that standard, so you know Dominaria cards were pretty good to me. I was on Blue Eye Control for a long time when that set was around, and yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. I think the previous Dominaria set as well was one of the all-time great draft formats. I think that was like pretty agreed upon at the time. Everyone loved it, but I think people have maybe reevaluated it downward slightly since then historically. I don't know how you feel about that, but I feel like as years went on, people have gone, yeah, it was pretty good, but actually, was it great? You know?
So here's the thing. I actually don't have an opinion on that because I wasn't playing much Magic around that time,
Fair enough.
and that included not drafting any Dominaria. Um, I have heard multiple times that it was one of the all-time great draft formats, so it sounds like I've missed out, to be honest. So yeah, I'm hoping
Yeah,
they can pull off something similar again here, because I
definitely, and
will I
I
will be
think they
playing
will.
a lot more this time.
Nice. Yeah, one of the things that I really loved about it and made it sort of almost endlessly replayable for me was that they did a brilliant job of cramming a lot of power in at the uncommon slots that enabled these like really cool like sub themes and sort of it could be your 100th draft and you'd realize some weird little combo that like you hadn't seen anyone else play before in a single game. You know, that was a combination of a rare and an uncommon.
Yeah.
The set was just like it felt very open to just you could like a lot of people were just like, oh, just take all the Into the Royals that you see or whatever, take all the good blue cards. But you could really like every color was playable, every color pair was playable. You could play weird 3 and 4 color decks and stuff like that. Like it was just awesome. And I think they're doing the same thing. I think they've said that they're doing the same thing this time, right? Where there's going to be a legendary in every pack, the
All
same
right.
as
Cool.
I think that's the case. And maybe don't hold me to that. But that was what enabled a lot of power at the uncommon slot in Dominaria. So yeah, if they're doing that again, I could see it, just being a lot of sort of creative freedom there again in this set. So that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're just gonna go through a couple of the little things here. We're not gonna go through the whole list because a lot of it is just kind of, oh, there'll be a 10/10 that's only 5 mana. And it's like, okay, it's too vague to really talk about.
Yeah.
But the one we did want to mention was a popular Planeswalker card gets a reprint.
So the important thing to point out here is that this is not like another. It's not like another Teferi. It's not like another Liliana. It's not another Jace. It is a reprint. That
Yeah.
the wording is reprint. So, what we're looking at, instead of it being Jace that brainwashes all, it's going to be Jace the Mind Sculptor, or it's going to
Yeah.
be Liliana of the Veil, or it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be Karn Liberated. Those are the kinds of cards we're looking at here. So that's pretty big news.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like, I think we can probably put Jace out of the running. Sadly, it could be. It could be. No, it couldn't really be Jace Vryn's Prodigy, right? Because Origins was sort of set in the past, sort of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's in the past. That was the flavor of it. It was their origin story. So like, unless unless Dominaria is taking place, way in the past, which it isn't.
Yeah.
So
Although there's
it's
always
not going to
some
be just
time
from
travel.
Prodigy.
There's always a bit of time travel when Teferi's around.
Sure.
But yeah, I think yeah, Teferi Hero of Dominaria I think will be up there. And please let us know in the chat if you have any ideas what it could
Absolutely.
be. I think Teferi is definitely popular. Is probably in need of a reprint, I would imagine, considering that it sees modern Pioneer play and I don't think has been reprinted except for maybe a Secret Lair or something. At the same time, I don't know if Wizards want to give people another 2 years of Teferi dominating Standard, which it just sort of almost undoubtedly would, right? Like it's hard to imagine that card is not as powerful as it was the last time around in Standard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really going to pretend that I know a lot about Standard because I have not played the Standard format in 4 years, probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have no real opinion on that. But like you say, it's hard to imagine a card of Teferi's power level not coming into standard and being
Yeah.
like by far and away the best card.
Yeah, which it was the last time. People got very sick of it. It was sort of obviously it was blue white control enabled that almost by itself and made that one of the best decks for its entire run. But also just saw play in sort of like Esper hero decks and stuff like that around the same time. Sort of
Yeah.
just enabling these mid range strategies very nicely. So I kind of don't think it'll be that. Liliana the Veil I think is a really interesting one because and now I'm the one who wasn't playing standard sort of very much around that time. But my impression is that Liliana like didn't dominate standard, and it was kind of sort of it was modern really where she took her pride of place. Is that the case?
I think that's accurate, yeah. From what I remember of that standard format, I think Liliana of the Veil was, great. It was a great card, but like not like to fairy level of dominance. Um, you know, uh modern, like you say, is where it really shone in the Jund decks that really took advantage of like the +1. It was much easier for it to be more advantageous for you than the opponent because you're playing cards like Tarmogoyf. So
Yeah.
you're fueling your Tarmogoyfs and your opponent's discarding a card. Which made Liliana really good. From that perspective, it was very easy to protect the Liliana with these huge ground beaters as well. Just
Sort of you were playing sort of Raging Ravine and stuff like that, so you didn't matter. It didn't matter if both players came down to be empty-handed because the Jund player just had better top decks and sort of ways to grind out the game. But yeah, like that's the whole thing. That requires a sort of strong supporting cast, which it's hard to imagine that in standard so much. Although standard is so much more powerful now that
it is.
Maybe it would be a different thing.
Again,
Could be part of the a Grease Fang strategy or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, this is where like us having knowledge of what's going on in standard would really help because we are kind of just like shooting in the dark here, aren't we? Like,
yeah, pretty much.
We're putting our best guess, like our educated guesses, like that part of our brain to work here. Where Liliana the Veil in a vacuum, very good card. How dominant it's going to be depends on the cards around it. The cards that I remember being played in standards, you had your Jeskai and Nada decks, and you had your Esper midrange decks, I believe, were the two big decks, which I think might have transformed into Orzhov midrange now.
Okay.
I think they did have good ways of making Tenacious Underdog is in standards. That's a really good discard off Liliana.
That's a really good point. That would be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Liliana I think would be really interesting. Also, the card is always like €1,000,000.
Yeah.
Even though they put it in half the master sets or whatever. I actually don't own any copies of Liliana. Sadly, it's one of the few big staple planeswalkers I don't have. I think, but it's because the decks it's in always cost €1,000. So why bother?
I own my Pioneer deck now, and like 25% of a cube, maybe 33% of that cube, and that's it. Those are all the Magic the Gathering cards I have. But
the collection is very freeing.
The collection is building up. Like, I don't know, I've been free of Magic cards for like 10 years. If you ask any of my like playtesting group, they will tell you that DJ has never owned any of his own cards. He is Steve Madden in particular. He has always borrowed entire decks from us. He's maybe had like his own like 4 copies of Fatal Push or something. He's all
a 5-year uncommon.
He always brings his own basic lands. I have always borrowed decks. This is I'm borrowing like a playset of Blood Crypt and Thoughtseize for the weekends, and that's it. Like I own the rest of the cards, which is a new experience for me. But I'm finally in a position now where I'm like working in an industry where I actually get paid decently. So, I'm not like working part-time retail anymore where all that money's going towards, my rent and food to survive. I actually have a little bit of money to spend on Magic the Gathering cards. Steve Madden is in the chat. I can confirm this is correct. There you go.
The top rope, Steve Madden. Just hammering you.
And Al in the chat there as well saying playing Blood Crypts and Thoughtseizes. You know what's up, Al. We have talked about this. We have talked about this down.
we're giving the whole game away. DJ is going to be
Yeah,
giving all the tech away today, so don't worry about that.
all the secrets are going out the window. I do actually plan at some point during the week as well. It'll either be this week or next week. I am going to write that into a document, and it's going on Twitter, and it's going to be completely free. Use all that information as you please. If you want to see that when it hits, we do have a link to our Twitter page. I think it's somewhere down here. So follow us on Twitter. You'll get all of my wisdom in a Words document format, and you too can crush RCQs.
We have Dave Wolf in the chat. Invoke despair? ? And don't play Sky Sovereign. It's poop. I agree that Sky Sovereign is poop, although I have been losing to it way too much on Arena lately. I will say that too.
Yeah. So we'll actually cycle around back to that later in the topic. Yeah. But yeah, largely yes, is the answer to that.
But anyway, to finish off this Maro teaser little question, the other thing we were saying, and it's great Al Harrison is in the chat, because the third card that you mentioned was Karn Liberated, which would be kind of a cool reprint, I think. I feel like it's kind of a boring card, though, is the thing, but it's always good. It always skyrockets in price even after they reprinted it, like, whenever, so that would be pretty cool for price-wise. You were saying, DJ, off mic, and I think this is true, that would be a big problem card for Pioneer, right? Suddenly the mono green ramp deck now has Ugin and Karn. It's basically just turned into Tron, right? At that point.
Yeah, so that and Liliana. I think I would be worried more about Liliana in Pioneer than Karn, just because the mono green deck already has a bunch of great top end anyway. It doesn't specifically need to go into Karn. Yes, it's going to be great. I think. But the mono green deck doesn't need that.
True. Oh. We'll scratch that anyway, because Wolf just told us that it's not Karn, because they named which Karn was.
Oh, okay. So
Karn,
it's not Karn.
Legacy is the new Karn, apparently.
Liliana of the Veil is the one I'm slightly more worried about going into Pioneer. Just because, like, Red-Black... I think Red-Black is in a great spot to make great use of Liliana of the Veil. You already have Fable with, your Croxes and your Cut the Ribbons if you're playing that, your Tenacious Underdog if you're playing that. You're already well positioned, with these cards that you want to discard anyway. Off the top of my head, like, it's hard to say without playing with the cards, because I can imagine in, like, the creature matchups, like a lot of the creature matchups, I tend to find that there's always, like, a 1/2 or something, so you can't, like, slam Liliana and minus it and get huge value. So I think a lot of the value is going to come from the +1. I could be talking out of my arse here. It's just because it's hard for me to visualize this without actually playing with the card.
Yeah.
In the deck,
like I was talking up the Boros heroic deck last week, and now I'm like, oh well, that just completely folds to Liliana on turn 3, right? They just can't do it. Like, good luck with your God's willing.
That's a great point. It would be really, really, really good there.
Yeah, we already mentioned Teferi, Hero of Dominaria Wolf.
Yeah,
we already went through that one. Yeah. I think Liliana would be pretty cool. It's, I don't know, like, it's an interesting card. I've always liked playing with it in Modern. Like, I think the play patterns are really interesting for both players, choosing what to discard and stuff. And 3-mana Planeswalkers, they've kind of been the name of the game for the last few years in Magic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like, I guess talking it out like this, I guess I don't have I just have this gut feeling more than anything that Liliana of the Veil might be a problem.
Yeah.
And
I think it's going to be something new for Pioneer, I feel like, anyway. I feel like that's why it won't be Teferi, Hero of Dominaria in one way as well.
Like, if you go with Teferi, Hero of Dominaria as well, then you have the problem of Teferi is going to be in Standard for 2 years.
Like we said.
Exactly, so... Yeah, it's much it's going to be cool. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be cool. Like, if they say it's Liliana of the Veil or Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, I'm gonna be excited. Despite these reservations, I'm still gonna be excited about it. Because I don't own any copies of either of those cards, and I'll have a chance to get them at a reasonable price. So I'll be excited about that, and then we'll see, where my reservations kind of take me from there. Like, another thing about Liliana actually is that it's actually really going to help your combo matchups. I can see it being really good in mono green as well, or against mono green as well. Like, you strip their hand. Yeah, Liliana the Veil I think will be really good for red black if indeed the card is Liliana the Veil. It might not be.
Yeah, it'll enable a lot of other stuff too. Like, there's just kind of like, I don't know about Pioneer, but like some people mess around with these kind of mono black control decks in Explorer, or like they play like mono black vampires or something like that as well. I could see, or like zombies. There's kind of a sort of weakish zombie tribal deck. I don't know, man. Yeah, I think it could see some play. Also, really good with I know it's not really seeing any play at the moment. But Scrap Heap Scrounger, super good combo with Liliana, right? Discard it, bring it back.
Sure.
So I think it could just like open up a bunch of strategies rather than. I think it'll help the format rather than restrict the format, basically, in terms of amount of decks.
Joe with points in the chat there that would make green black strong as well because they don't have a comparable 3-drop to Fable the Mirror Breaker, which I think is fair enough. I think what'll happen there is that you have like both decks like here, right? So say this is red black and this green black. Both decks get Liliana the Veil, so it just goes up like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know.
Yeah.
Wolf mentions Tenacious Underdog. We've been trashing that card. Certainly, if Liliana Veil was legal, I would immediately probably be playing 4 of those in my red black deck. So yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely start playing some Tenacious Underdogs in that case. I think we lightly touched on that. You know, you will start building. Too. Yeah, like you will start building your red black deck to really take advantage of that +1 the way the modern decks did, way back in the day. So yeah, you might play more Croxes. You might play 4 copies of Tenacious Underdog. Just have to wait and see. It might not even be Liliana the Veil. We're speculating here. Might not even be.
Joe says, I guess, I don't know what I'd cut for red black. Bone Crusher, Graveyard Trespasser, and Fable is a lot of 3-drops. I don't think too many. That's not a problem, in my opinion. Having too many 3-drops isn't as bad as having too many 5-drops. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You can still cast all the 3-drops.
And if that is a problem, like we'll talk about this more in the second half. And if Dean Convery is in the chat, he will be rolling on the floor whenever he hears me say this. I would not really miss Graveyard Trespasser.
Well, it gets a lot worse, right? If everyone's playing Liliana the Veil,
because it really does
to kill it. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah. So maybe you just swap it. Maybe the Trespassers just go straight to the sideboard just because of that.
Yep. Maybe they don't make the 75 at all.
Maybe not. Maybe, yeah. I mean, Tenacious Underdog, and we love Tenacious Underdog and we hate Graveyard Trespasser. This is mad.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play. I'm just gonna play 4 Underdogs at the weekend. I'm sold. I don't even have Liliana the Veil in my deck, but I'm gonna play 4 4 Tenacious Underdog, 4 Croxa. Let's go. 4 Cut the Ribbons as well. Why not? Let's do it. 4 Fiery Temper. I think
you just put 4 Liliana the Veil in your deck, and then if anyone complains, you just tell them to check out the podcast, and you're testing for what the format's going to look like. Yeah.
That's a great point. And I am going to be wearing a certain bit of attire. Oh, there it is. Let's go. Going to be wearing that on Saturday. Going to be dunking on people. Say check out the podcast, and
EGP.
They will not have a good counter argument. They will not have a good counter argument.
Don't you know who I am? Like Judge. Cool. Okay. So yeah, that's enough talking about that. That was but that's a fun little thing to think about, and I really like that Maro does this sort of every set. Like a lot of the time, it's just like there's going to be a creature that can put counters on itself to do an effect, and I'm like, all right, Maro, I know you can't give away the game, but like this is pointless. But that was a really cool one to hear about, and I presume it's going to be early in the spoiler season too. Spoilers are starting in a couple days, I believe. And yeah, I'd imagine popular Planeswalker reprint is a good one to get people excited about the set. So we should know what it is pretty soon.
Gets the people going. Which it has, you know. We've just spent 15-20 minutes talking about it, so.
Yeah. Including talking about it being Karn liberated when that's already provably...
yeah, provably wrong. If we did any research whatsoever before the podcast started, we would not have wasted that time talking about Karn liberated.
Yeah. But moving on swiftly. Yeah, that was kind of the only point from that I wanted to talk about. So cheers to Maro, friend of the show, obviously. Yeah, shall we get on to talking about your prep for this upcoming RCQ?
Let's do it. What do you have for me? Bring it.
Okay, well, we already know this is the Red Black Mid Range podcast.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's the subtitle for the Pocket Jaces podcast. One thing Al says first: blue destroy all creatures card. Yeah, that was in the Marrow teaser as well. Will be a mass pongify. Ooh.
So we have like a blue Wrath of God effect. Is that what we're talking?
Yeah, it says there's a blue card that says destroy all creatures, which presumably is not like Supreme Verdict or something like that.
Yeah,
it's mono blue.
Yeah, blue effects have always been like, transform into like a 3/3 Ip token or whatever. I can see
cool.
it.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Anyway, going back to the main topic. So I presume you're playing red black. You just said your red black deck is. Oh god damn it! You don't own any other cards, DJ. You can't put these cube cards together.
I've just got a bunch of proxies, and I'm gonna show up with mono green. I keep losing to it, so I'm just gonna play mono green. No, we are playing red black. Sorry, yes, go ahead.
Excellent. Okay, so and obviously you're playing it. It's your pet deck. We've talked about this. You know, you've put a lot of time and reps in, so you're always going to be playing it. How do you feel coming up to this weekend? What do you think the meta game is like? Do you think red black is going to be a good choice, or do you feel a bit lumbered with it? Would you prefer to be playing something else?
So I think red black can never be a bad choice unless like literally the whole room is like mono green and decks trying to go over the top of you. I don't think red black can ever be a bad choice, and even if it is, I think red black can be built in a way that you can still compete. So the short answer to that is I don't think red black's ever going to be a bad choice. I'm happy with that choice. The metagame that I expect there, I don't really know, to be honest, because obviously I'm up in Belfast. If anybody's not aware of Irish geography, like I'm up here, Dublin's like an hour and a half, 2 hours south, so it's not like I get down to Dublin to play in the local scene to have an idea of that. But luckily, I have friends who do live in Dublin, like yourself, like Wolf, like Al, who are in the chat. Shout out to you guys, who are able to kind of give me a feel of what that metagame is going to look like. So, what I have been told, so Alex as well, who was on the podcast with us the other week, thanks to all you guys. What I should expect is smattering of blue-white, mono-green, red-black, and Phoenix.
So just kind of what you expect is from a general metagame snapshot, sort of like not too surprising.
Yeah, so those are like going to be the 4 most popular decks. Then there's going to be a smattering of like your your Bant Humans, your mono white humans, and your Bant Spirits decks, and then bunch of nonsense past that. Yeah, is kind of what I'm expecting. Red black in an open field. Very happy with. I think there is again like ways you can shoot in red black to be best in an open field. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I know exactly what that is. There might still be some work to be done before Saturday, which would require going through a gauntlet and would also require somebody willing to go through a gauntlet with me to be certain of that.
I'm happy to do that.
There we go.
If you want to, I'm free all week to test. So
cool, let's do it. I would love that. Maybe we can make that our Thursday stream as well. Just us battling.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So yeah, I would love to have that figured out before Saturday. I know Misplaced Ginger and Mason E. Clark on Twitter. Mason posted a deck list which Ginger responded to saying, I think this is the best 75 you could bring to an open field. So that'll be a really good starting point. And then we'll take it from there. I am happy where I am sitting. I am happy with my deck choice. I am not worried overly about the metagame. I think mono green is a really bad matchup, but you can't win them all. You can't win them all.
Yeah. We talked about this on the previous stream where we were talking about possible sideboard cards for mono green and stuff, and I think we kind of came to the conclusion that it's like the matchup is so bad that like why waste sideboard slots trying to fix it if it's not going to work? You know what I mean? Just take the L and try to beat everything else.
So one bit of testing I have done is like I was kind of unclear about how the mono green matchup, what the mono green side of it looked like. So I actually ended up picking up the mono green deck and playing some games with it just so that I could, you know, because I think it's a good idea whenever you're testing against decks. Like, you should play with those decks so that you understand what their lines of play are.
Exactly.
So
What are
that
the important turns, and what does it mean if they play X land first and second,
yeah,
and stuff like that. Yeah.
and
I mean, mono green, that's going to be harder to tell, but
and then with that information, you can use that to develop what your best counterplay to those typical lines are. So, played a few games of mono green, thought, okay, cool, and then jammed the matchup against myself. Played a bit of solitaire, and I do know I have Life Being Zombies and Epic Downfalls in the sideboards, and I played a bunch of postboard games, and I feel kind of good about it now.
okay. Nice. Last time we talked, you weren't so convinced about Lifebane Zombie, right? Has it
No.
gone up in your estimation?
It's not so much that it's gone up in my estimation. I suppose you could say that, yeah, it's gone up in my estimation. But the thing is, like, I still don't think it's very good past turn 3. But if you want to actually have a chance of winning the mono green matchup, I think it's just something that you have to do. And another thing about Life Being Zombie is that it's also, like, reasonable in those Bant aggro matchups.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
You snag a collected company or whatever, you know.
You cannot snag a collect.
Oh, it's only creatures.
It's only
you
creatures,
get, right? Yeah, but yeah, okay. Get a spell queller or something like that. Pretty nice.
Can do, yeah. So yeah. I think I don't think I want to be dead against mono green anymore. So I have switched up the sideboard a little to try and account for that. I like game 1. I'm pretty sure is a wash, but post boards, I think it's pretty close to 50-50.
Cool.
Is my feeling. Like on the so the games I did play, I won a lot on. This is gonna sound like, you know, total like, you know, I'm non like I'm just saying words, and of course, like, if you're on the play, it's really good. If you're on the draw, it's really bad. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that we were talking about this previously as well, where it's like, it sounds silly to say that, but it really is a big factor, you know.
It really, really is. So, like, I do still plan on getting very lucky in that matchup, but I don't want to be completely dead to it either. So that's where I'm sitting there.
Cool. Okay. And then, so we've gone through, so your prep for that matchup. What has your other prep been like in general? Have you been jamming leagues on Modo? Have you been playing those little 4-round prelims they have now, which are terrible compared to the old 5-round ones? What have you been up to?
I've just been playing leagues when I can. So, like, you know, I work 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, so I don't have, and I have dogs that need looked after. You know, I have other commitments, so I don't have that much time to say I'm going to sit down for the 4 hours that a prelim requires, or the 8 to 10 hours that, you know, one of the weekend challenges require. So I haven't been able to play any of those. I've just been jamming leagues over and over and over and over again.
Nice.
And, like, yeah, sometimes I'll have enough time in the day to, you know, play 2 leagues back to back. And sometimes I'll play 1 league over like 4 days, you know.
I know it's ancient news now for Modo, but leagues really like changed the game.
Oh,
they did, in terms of yeah.
I remember I'm one of the I am a Magic boomer. And I remember whenever they introduced the concept of leagues, like, you know, Magic players, they love to complain about everything, and leagues were a thing that people complained about. Like, where are my Ep4 draft queues? This just completely
EV blah blah blah.
It wasn't even the EV. It was people like, these aren't real drafts. I'm not playing against people in my pod. Like,
yeah, the only time I care about that, I think I was like that at the very start. I think I was a bit annoyed about that. The only time I care about it still is for Cube, because I just think it's so lame when you play like a mirror match in a Cube draft, because that just kind of goes against the spirit of it. But even then, it's still a million times better than waiting for a round so small price to pay. Even for Cube, it's whatever, you know.
Yeah. Like the not having to wait, like, you know, 30
Sometimes
minutes for your
like
next round.
40 minutes. You get paired up against a mono red deck or something like that in the first round. The game's over in like 7 minutes, and you're like, oh great.
Cool. So yeah. Like, leagues have definitely changed the game. But yes, we're getting sidetracked. Sorry. This is about me. It's all about me. We should be talking about me right now. Let's go. Keep the questions coming.
Okay, so leagues going well. I presume a lot of trophies on
Uh,
the board.
so there have been a lot of 4-1s and 3-2s. We
That's just
have,
how it goes. Yeah,
yeah, like
it's hard to
the,
trophy, man.
it
People
is,
underestimate it. Like,
it is.
yeah.
I, every time I like, especially so whenever I started my leagues,
Mhm.
I think like my first 5 leagues were 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, 3-2.
Oh, nice.
You know, it's really hard to not get paired against one of your bad matchups over 5 rounds, and
Yeah,
then it's
or just multi-5 one time out of
yeah, that's all it
5.
takes.
And yeah,
Especially when mono green is one of those big four.
exactly. Yeah,
You
and
know,
especially I think in a format like Pioneer, which seems to me to be like very balanced as far as Magic formats go. Like it seems like it's in a really healthy place right now, and I don't think there's like a lot of the time I was getting like major trophies or whatever in Moto playing like Modern or something like that. It There would just be an out and out best deck or whatever that for whatever reason not enough people were playing, because especially in formats like Modern, people just play their one Modern pet deck and they never switch deck.
yeah,
I feel like, so then it's like when something like the Urza's uh Topter sword combo or whatever existed, it was like just absolutely ridiculous, smashing the field, and it was very easy to pick up trophies. But yeah, for Pioneer I feel like it's a tough one. I feel like,
yeah. I'd agree with that. It's very open. You could feasibly play what like there is a good deck for every type of play style. You know,
Mm.
if you love synergistic decks, you have Phoenix. If you love control, Blue Eye Control is one of them. If you love your mid range decks, you have Red Black.
Yeah,
I forgot the color combination of the deck that I am playing at the weekend, so it's going to go well. And
it's
like there are good
stupid
aggro
good, like.
there are good aggro decks to choose from as well, and there's good
Yeah,
combo decks to choose from. Well, I say there's good combo decks to choose from. That's not really true.
like Grease Fang. Grease
Oh yeah,
Fang
yeah,
is kind of a combo deck. Yeah.
yeah. Greasefang. I feel like in the Abzan iteration and even the Mardu iteration now, which is gaining more
Mm.
popularity again. Like they're both mid range decks with a combo finish. Is how I would
Yeah,
describe
they're
those
sort
decks.
of it's sort of like almost like playing Splinter Twin or something like that, where it's
Kinda, yeah.
like you're winning the mid-range game because your opponent has to leave up mana to respect your combo or play around your combo so much that you just sneak in a lot of wins with Blood Tithe Harvesters or
Yeah,
whatever it is in the Raffine's Informants or whatever you're
yeah,
playing in the mid-range matchup or in the Abzan version.
yeah.
But yeah, so I think we already discussed Life Bane Zombie in terms of maybe going up in your estimation. What are some, since the last time we spoke, some other cards that you've changed your opinion on, stuff that you feel like you maybe is overperforming where compared to how you thought of it before, or vice versa, underperforming?
So overperforming. I really like Strangle. Um,
Would you ever
we
consider going up copies of it, or is it
no,
no?
I think one Strangle is just a sweet spot. Like,
Hmm.
it fills the role that you want it to well, and that's it. Like, the reason I count it as kind of like an overperforming card is because I see a lot of decks that don't play it, and I couldn't imagine not playing that one copy of Strangle because it's
Yeah,
like it's been whenever I have drawn it, it's been really important every time.
yeah, like
So
whatever you want to call it, the fifth fatal push,
yeah,
but in a way more versatile, even though it's a sorcery. Like being able to take out that Chandra with it or whatever, is so
absolutely.
good. And yeah, 100%. It's hilarious to me that like a version of Lightning Bolt that much, so much worse in so many ways, is like still a playable Magic card. It really shows the power of
Yeah,
3 damage for 1 mana.
yeah. It's a playable card in an eternal format.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
shout out to Strangle. Um, yeah. In the sideboard, a card that has that I've actually gone up to. I've started at 0, never considered,
Mm,
never saw any reason to put it in my sideboard, and now I have 2 copies. Is a Braid.
mm,
Like it's just very versatile, and
yeah.
in the matchups where you want the destroy target artifact part of it, like it's hard not to want both sides of it. So Greasefang, for example, I don't
Hmm.
expect a lot of Greasefang, to be fair, but being able to blow up the vehicle or kill the Greasefang.
Yeah, so good, so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Depending on
Also, it's
what.
like, yeah, against like green decks, it's killing elves and stuff like that. You know, if there's some kind of more mid-rangey green deck, because you
Yeah,
probably don't want it against Mono Ramp. But
yeah. Like I toyed with the idea of bringing it in against Mono Green Ramp because one of the best things they can do against you is Karn, the Sky Sovereign.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's just an auto loss
yeah.
basically, and a Braid is an out to the Sky Sovereign. And it also kills one mana guys. I'm
Mm.
not sure if that's a direction I want to take with it. I'm leaning towards no currently, but that might be something to try out.
It might be one of those ones where you maybe bring in a couple on the draw in game two or whatever. You know, just
On the draw seems worse though because you can't kill a one mana guy.
no, but you need to be able. I'm saying it's like you need to be able to respond to the Karn, like artifact part of it more so. I mean, you already have your 4 fatal pushes and your strangle against the elves, right? Like they're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you know, I don't think you need to shore up on that side of it so much.
Honestly,
Jazzy in the chat says, "Oh God, fuck no, not life pain. Thought I got rid of that bastard in 2014. Yeah, it's back
it's
in dog
back,
form.
baby.
Yeah, it's a card that I think it's probably one of the most grudgingly played cards I've ever seen in like a constructed format. Whenever anyone talks about it, no one is in love with the card ever. People are like, yeah, I suppose I have to play Life Pain Zombie.
Oh, in standard, I love Life Pain
Oh yeah,
Zombie.
yeah, no, I
Oh,
mean in Pioneer specifically, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
no, agreed on that one.
So a Braid's just been, pretty good catch-all, and all been pretty happy with the Braid overall. Underperforming, another overperforming card actually that I brought back in. I started with one, went to zero, back to one. Cut the ribbons. Like I've toyed, like that's one of the flex slots that I've toyed with a lot, especially on stream where I was playing like the copy of PNLR and I was playing a copy of like Goblin Dark Dwellers, blah 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 blah. And I always wanted that extra copy of something that was like a good discard, but was also just a good card too. And cut the ribbons does fill that role, like dealing 4 damage, pretty good for 2 mana, decent rate, and it's an easy discard to blood tokens and Fable as well. And it also just randomly wins you the game sometimes.
It does. I hate the card though, to be honest. I feel like I hated it in standard. It was great in standard, but I hated the play patterns around it in standard. So maybe that's where my bias is coming from. I just feel like it's just not quite there on rate. The front side of it for Pioneer and for Explorer as well, which is where I'm seeing it. But I don't know
So
what. Yeah, as you say, it's a flex slot. I don't really know what the right choice is there. I mean, I think I would prefer Tenacious Underdog to Cut to Ribbons in terms of
so
filling that role.
my opinion on that is that if you want to discard a cut to ribbons to loot to Fable or blood tokens, you can always do that, and it's a free discard.
Yeah.
But whenever you want to deal 4 damage to something, like it's going to be pretty good.
That is true. That is true.
And like Tenacious
Yeah.
Underdog, like you can never really say, God, I wish I had a 2 mana 3/2. Other than maybe like matchups where you
That's a
really
good
want to put
point.
pressure on.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right. The front side is a lot better on cut ribbons,
yeah.
but I think the back side is a lot better on Tenacious Underdog. But even then, you know how I feel about that card. I'm not exactly super high on that card either way. Um, what about like a different removal spell option there? Like, I don't think a braid cuts it, for example, but
I mean, you can.
something
You
like a Heartless Act or a Power Word Kill or something like that. I don't know.
these are all cards you can play if you just want a removal spell. Go for it.
Yeah,
But I like the utility of having
I get you.
that third
Yeah.
card that is a free discard. That you are just very happy to loot away. Like
Mm.
that's one of the main draws to that card for me. And being able to deal 4 damage to something is a bonus.
I get you. Okay, I get you. I just like I don't know if the argument convinces me though, because I'm like,
It
yeah,
doesn't have to.
you're happy to discard it because it's so bad.
No, you're not.
You know?
You're not happy.
'Cause-
That's not the argument, though. You're not happy to discard it because it's so bad. You're happy to discard it because you can cast the back half
know.
from your graveyard for
I know, but like,
whatever.
but how often has that actually mattered for you? Like, obviously enough for this to be your opinion, but for
Oh
me,
yeah,
for me, I'm just like, I feel like the majority of the time you're just going to exile it to Croxa or whatever after that anyway.
And if
then
you're
it could just
exiling
be,
it, if you're exiling it to Croxa, then you have a Croxa on board. Like
yeah, but
if you're doing that, then you're happy to be playing the Croxa. So like,
yeah, but that could be any other card that it doesn't, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but that card that's in the graveyard is never going to do anything. The ribbons might.
It could do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. What if it was a scrap heap scrounger?
If it was Scrap Heap Scrounger, then I would play a different deck.
Okay,
Okay.
that's a great one.
Yeah.
Overtalk this card. Okay, so that about it. I mean, the list is pretty stock for the most part, right?
Pretty stock. Yeah. Like yeah. I know there was another half to that question, which was like underperforming cards. And honestly, I like the 75 that I have now. I've went through a lot of like one-offs in the flex slot. So cards like Goblin Dark Dwellers, don't like that one. Cards like Colligan's Commands, I'm sorry, don't like it.
That's fine.
PNLR, didn't like that one, shockingly.
Well, did we ever cast PNLR in that league?
No, but whenever we drew it, we drew it sometimes, we're like, I mean,
yeah. What am I doing with my life?
Yeah. What have I done? Was pretty much the feeling every time I drew a copy of PNLR.
Apparently the Stream Decker plugin is showing my legacy mono red prison deck.
Oh, brilliant!
From several years ago. I think we should disable that plugin for the moment. We can do that later.
Yeah. We could have maybe had my 75 there if we had thought about this in any way, shape, or form.
But I get what you're saying. It's there's not really so much that's underperforming, right? Because
like the closest thing.
Yeah,
like the closest thing, and again, Dean is going to be very happy to hear this. Is Graveyard Trespasser, but I think that's more because like I've been seeing a lot less Phoenix in the leagues, where like Trespasser really shines.
And you're expecting to see a little more of that at the. RCQ.
I'm hoping so, yeah. And even then, like there's nothing I would
put. The floor is high on that card, you know.
There's still nothing I would play over Graveyard Trespasser, like that I can think of straight up. Graveyard Trespasser I still think is a good card. I'm just slightly less high on it than maybe I was a couple of weeks ago, but that's probably, like I say, probably just because I haven't been playing against Phoenix half as much as I used to be doing. And I think the card is still very good in the mirror. It's a pain in the ass in the mirror. It exiles opposing Croxes. It's really difficult to get rid of. You can trade with it, but like
you trade it, but your best chance is trading a Blood Tithe Harvester or something like that with it, and
it's really thorny. Is kind of the takeaway from that. Really just tough to get rid of. Like if I don't want to make that trade, then I'm just not going to make the trade.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's kind of fine not to attack with as well. It protects planeswalkers very well. One card I wanted to ask you about, because this is a card you were super high on, I think maybe more than some other red-black players, was Invoke Despair. Are you still as high on that card? Has that gone a little down in your estimation, or is it still as great as ever?
No, card is very good. In the matchups that you want Invoke Despair, and that was another one that I had in the main deck for a while. I played a version of this deck that topped at 3 copies of Invoke Despair in the main deck. Just to see how it went more than anything. It obviously didn't go well because there's 0 copies in the main deck now and there's 2 in the sideboard. But
I do like having A5 though. I feel like if you're topped out at 4, you end up with like extra treasure tokens that aren't helping you and stuff like that.
Yeah. It gave me a good feel though of like the matchups that I do want invoking at the very least. Like it's the second best thing to be doing in the mirror. I know. So we've come back to the point now that Wolf made earlier. Sky Sovereign sucks, except in the mirror, where it's the best thing I think that you can be doing in the mirror.
It's essentially unkillable, right?
It is unkillable. It is absolutely unkillable.
Yeah. Unless you're playing K command like a genius.
Sure. Or if you're boarding in copies of a Brid, which not everybody will be doing.
True.
Yeah, so Sky Sovereign is an unkillable threat that is going to blow up your entire board. You're going to lose to Sky Sovereign.
It's gonna ETB kill your Chandra, and then it's gonna attack and kill your Blood Tithe Harvester, and you're taking 1,000,000, and yeah.
Yeah. The thing about Sky Sovereign though is that the mirror is literally the only matchup you want it in, and casting Invoke Despair in the mirror is still like really, really backbreaking.
Yeah.
And you can board in Invoke Despair in other matchups. So I prefer Invoke Despair. I'm really happy with the cards. I can't imagine not showing up on Saturday without a couple of copies of Invoke Despair in my sideboard.
Nice. So we're thinking 2 in the board is where we're at currently.
I think it's a sweet spot. Yeah, I don't think you need more. I don't think you want to take up more sideboard slots for a card that is essentially kind of narrow, but you are going to be bringing it in, against the control decks, other random mid-range decks, and decks like you bring it in against Lotus Field just to like dome them for 6.
Yeah, it's quite funny when you think about it. Cool. Okay, so yeah, I don't know how to put this. So obviously the meta is like pretty set at the moment, right? In sort of in general. Obviously we have a new set coming out in 3 weeks or so that's going to shake up Pioneer a little bit probably. But do you foresee sort of any possibilities of like experiences at this tournament, like changing how you think about red black, or wanting to swap majorly stuff around in the deck going forward, or do you feel like this is the deck, I'm going to be playing this for the next X amount of RCQs or whatever?
Oh yeah, so I can see going down on Saturday and the metagame call being completely wrong, and I come back and say, okay, I want to change. I want to make like wholesale changes to the deck. What I won't be doing, I doubt that mainly because of availability more than any other reason, but I am a strong believer that this deck can be built to deal with whatever metagame you're expecting. So if my metagame call is completely wrong, then I'll come back home and I'll make the changes based on what I saw. Because both the RCQs that I'm going to be going to on the 20th and the 27th, they're both in Dublin, so I expect similar metagames in both. I expect, the same players to be showing up. So, yeah, I absolutely could come home and then, right, I'm going to target. I know what the metagame is now, so I'm going to target exactly that. So, yeah, I can definitely envision a world where I go down on Saturday and say, I need to make, like, 6 or 7 changes here.
Okay, nice. And that is the power of decks like these, right? Is like the core of the deck is so stable and sort of such a decent power level, and then you can adjust, and like you have these flex slots and great sideboard options and stuff like that. I think it's funny. I think people wouldn't expect a red black deck in general in any format to have like the strongest sideboard options, right? Because those aren't really colors known for great sideboard cards in general. But I think this type of deck in this format, for some reason, it just hits the nail on the head, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, like the sideboard option. So I currently have a deck box sitting downstairs, and I have my 15 cards in my sideboard sleeved up, but I also have like another 15 cards sitting there that I'm considering, like, swapping about and putting in the sideboards. Like, there are a lot of really good options available to us. Like, there's cards that we haven't talked about, like Alpine Moon, Damping Sphere. You could play extra copies of Unlicensed Hearse, extra copies of Go Blank, extra copies of Extinction Event. Are all perfectly reasonable things to be doing. You could play Hazaret, you could play Glorybringer, you could play Sky Sovereign. There are loads of really good options available to you depending on what metagame that you're expecting.
Definitely. One sec, I'm just gonna stick the light on here because I'm shrouded in darkness. One second.
It looks dark as fuck. So, how's chat? How are we doing? Everyone good? Everyone enjoying the show? Give us a follow if you haven't already. We'd really appreciate it. We'd enjoy that. Just click the wee follow button there. We'd love that. So,
here we go.
Wouldn't you, Kieran?
Yes. To whatever the question was.
Correct answer.
I hope that wasn't illegal, whatever I just said.
I am good, thank you, Steve. Thank you for asking.
Cool. So let's run it down. You get down on Saturday, right? For the Gamers World RCQ. What is your dream Swiss rounds matchups? Let's go. You sit down, pair. Round one. What do you want to be paired against?
Pretty much any low to the ground creature deck that isn't playing God's Willing. So give me mono red, give me mono white. Like I don't think they're slam dunks or anything, but
maybe call mono red a slam dunk. Actually, I think that matchup is bad for mono red.
I agree. But you can definitely still lose. I haven't lost, but like there have definitely been scary games playing against mono red. But most games you play against mono red are scary no matter what, right? Unless you're literally playing like Soul Sisters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was a nice thing when I was playing that best of one Explorer stuff, and I was just playing Green White Angels, and so much mono red in the best of one queues, and you would just go like Soul Sister, the angel that gains life equal to toughness whenever a creature ETBs, and you're still on 20 life suddenly after like 6 turns against mono red. That's a good feeling. But yeah, you're not quite there with red black in Pioneer, but I still think it feels good. You have so much cheap interaction. Obviously, it doesn't feel great Thoughtseize your opponent and seeing they're on mono red turn one, but
it is what it is. Like, generally, you're trading your Thoughtseize for a card that's going to deal more than 2 damage to you anyway. So it's still a pretty good trade.
That's fine. Well, yeah, the issue, and this is the sort of Thoughtseize haters. This is always the issue: is that you've spent mana on the card, and they haven't spent mana on their card. But it is what it is. It's fine.
Yeah. And I'm also I would also be pretty happy to see blue-white control. I think that matchup is pretty good for us. I haven't lost to blue-eye control yet either. Although again, some matchups have been very close. Like the one that there's one that comes to mind where I finished the game on 1 life, but it was because I was drawing a card with I took 19 damage from Castle Lochthwain. And then but that just kind of shows the power of that card in that matchup, where like I was able to draw 6-7 extra cards and get there.
Yeah, I think I've been doing that better in that matchup since you kind of talked to me about it, by the way.
Yeah, just take 5 damage. Just do it. Yeah, just draw the card.
That doesn't matter. Just draw the card. And also as well, just trying to play smarter with my Thoughtseizes. Especially, I think the mistake I was making previously was just that I wasn't... Like, the card that beats you is the Wandering Emperor, right? So basically it's like that's kind of the turns that you should be saving your Thoughtseize for.
Exactly,
where them flashing in a Wandering Emperor is going to be backbreaking, right?
Like,
I think that's a big part of the matchup.
Yeah, we talked about that on the pod a couple of weeks ago, I think, where you save your Thoughtseizes for the critical turn. Like, obviously, you're not going to know you're playing against blue-white straight away. So you'll fire turn 1. But... Yeah, you'll fire it off in turn 1. But once you know you're playing against blue-white, then you know that your Thoughtseize needs to be saved for turn 3 or turn 4.
Yeah, I think turn 4 is the magic turn. Yeah, and you're either looking to Thoughtseize them or you're looking to maybe double spell or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of hard to double spell, but
like the plan isn't to just save Thoughtseize for turn 4 and pass the turn. The plan is to save Thoughtseize for turn 4 and then play a Fable of the Mirrorbreaker or something like that. Yeah.
No, but since we talked about that in the pod, I've definitely been thinking about that more. So thank you. A little free coaching for Kieran here. Pretty good. And how much are you boarding in that matchup? Do you feel like? I feel like depending on how you build your deck, you can almost be like pre-boarded apart from the fatal pushes.
Yeah, like I'm not boarding a huge amount in that matchup. Off the top of my head,
you bring in
I have 2 Duress, 2 Invoke Despair that are definitely coming in. Unlicensed Hearse, I haven't been boarding in. I don't think it's unreasonable. Like it's just never going to be dead, right? And if they're playing like Memory Deluge, then
it's kind of attractive.
Yeah. If they happen to be playing Dig Through Time, then like if they're playing Dig Through Time, then I am definitely bringing in Unlicensed Search. But I haven't seen many copies of Dig Through Time going about in those decks. So maybe a
They're
moot
not
point.
usually filling their graveyard all that fast is the thing, yeah, so
Yeah.
not the best dig deck. Okay.
Um, yeah, so the go blanks as well, of course. I just
Yeah.
had to bring up my list there to actually look at my sideboard because I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. But yeah, the go blanks are coming in as well.
With Go
So
Blank, are you just firing that off into a counterspell on turn 3? Or
I mean, if I'm
are you
trading,
gonna, you know?
like,
I know it depends on the rest of your hand and everything, but
yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty contextual, but like
I think you're happy for that trade.
that exchange sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah,
they're countering a go blank and they're not countering a fable, for example,
yeah,
like yeah, that sounds pretty good. Or Chandra or Sorin.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Sauron obviously excels in the matchup as well. You're playing Sauron at the moment, are you?
Yeah, I have one copy of
You're
Sorin.
playing the one copy, yeah.
I like that's a card that I started off very low on,
Hmm.
and uh, I ended up just relenting and saying, okay, fine, maybe Sorin is just the best option, and it probably is.
I think it
Like
is,
I'm still not like super hype about
yeah.
Sorin, but like it's better than I thought it was.
I think it's just like perfectly reasonable, essentially, is kind of my opinion on it now. Like at first, yeah, I was kind of low on it as well, but now I'm just like, it's you just need that little bit extra of card draw, and like it's surprisingly sort of versatile, which is a weird way to talk about a planeswalker, but it feels like it does the job in more situations than you would initially think. Like I think you have to play with it to realize like, oh, it's actually
Yeah,
pretty
like
decent.
in scenarios where you're playing against mono red, for example, and you play a Chandra, and like the Chandra is okay, like getting the 2/3 lifelinker is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I would in the those kind of like really aggressive matchups, like the 2/3 flying lifelinker, really really good. So, Soren, I've been pretty happy with. Alpha Horizon
It
in the chat there, just saying, been loving the red black mid range matchup as mono green recently, especially on the Bant version mono green. I saw that deck list is playing a Teferi who the 4-drop Teferi that like taps or untaps artifacts, creatures, and lands.
Oh yeah, the newest one. Yeah,
I did see that. It seemed really cool actually. And yeah, the mono green matchup for red black terrible. It's not good. So yeah, you're spot on there. Um, Alex in
Oh,
chat giving away his sideboard tech for the blue white matchup as well.
well, he's already qualified, right?
Yeah, he's already qualified. He's already qualified. But he's passing on that two Noxious Grasp in Alex's sideboard. Like that's another card that we could consider having in our sideboards as well. Noxious Grasp is
Gives you
just
play against Nissa, which is really nice.
yeah, it's Noxious Grasp, a really good card.
Yeah, I really like that actually. I'm surprised you're taking out a Thoughtseize there, Alex. For me, I would never consider taking out a single Thoughtseize, and I'm bringing in two Jaces as well against blue white, but I think I want all 6 effects.
Yeah, I definitely want 6 effects there. I'd be interested to hear the reasoning for taking out a Thoughtseize. I think there are definitely, like, I would definitely be taking out a Trespasser before I took out a Thoughtseize.
Hmm. Or even a Bone Crusher, maybe. Well, probably not Bone Crusher, but
But
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Alex also says mono green versus red black feels like Jund versus Tron and modern, not as one sided but very challenging.
it is.
Yeah, it's your cards just aren't really impacting their game plan for the most part, right?
I said last week that it was like 80-20 in Mono Green's favor. I'm back to 70-30 now that I think I understand the matchup a little better, but it's not good.
Alparizon says an early Kalitas or a few Thoughtseizes are scary for mono
That
green. I mean,
that
that is true. Yeah, I would say if you
so
double Thoughtseize any deck, they're in a pretty tough spot usually, but
so early Kalitas is definitely one of the ways that you win that matchup because it shuts off all the dies triggers, which is the important thing there. So you slam Kalitas and then you can all of a sudden kill the old growth troll and
the
Cavalier of Thorns
and yeah,
with impunity.
True.
So that's really really important there. And it's tough to do because some lists only want one run Kalitas and some lists only run 2 at the very most. So it's not like you're likely to see them.
Al has a good point there. Extinction Event lines up very well against their massive odd CMC
Oh
boards.
yeah, Extinction Event.
Yeah, very true.
Extinction Event comes in there for sure.
And we have another question from Jazzy. How do you feel about humans? The 3 times I've played against Red Black, I've 2-0'd it, which surprised me.
Uh,
I don't know this matchup actually.
Mono white or Bant? I guess they're. I guess the answer is still kind of the same. Any creature, any low to the ground creature deck, I am pretty confident in that matchup. Uh, the Collected Company Bant deck scares me more than the mono white deck does, because Collected Company like is can be pretty hard to come back from, especially if it's like if you collect a company into Extraction Specialist, then it's really tough. But then Extraction Specialist in general is just really tough to deal with anyway. So from the mono white side, that's what I'm really scared of. I'm really scared of them playing multiple Extraction Specialists. And then the Bant side, I'm scared of multiple Extraction Specialists. And I'm also scared of Collected Company.
Yeah, so, and Jazzy did specify there, yeah, the version of Collected Company.
Yeah.
I think Collected Company is just one of the biggest nightmare cards you can face as this type of deck. You're trying to kind of 1-for-1, get an occasional 2-for-1 for the most part, but you're all, it's all sort of medium impact, slow, grindy stuff. It's really tough to just beat the board swing where they just get to draw and play 2 CMC creatures, especially at instant speed. They just, they might be able to just kill your goblin token or whatever as well, and
Yeah, it's not a buy by any stretch of the imagination. I think at worst, it's 50-50, but I felt pretty good in that matchup. I feel like it should be in Red Black's favor, but there are definitely problematic cards from the Bant Human side that Bant Humans could easily to Rakdos, for example. I think if I had to put numbers on it, I'd say it's probably like 55-45, at most 60-40.
Says Barrett to me. Alex replies and says he's been happy with the 5 discard effects when you're bringing in the 2 dresses and the go blanks. Dilutes the threats a little bit too much, he thinks, if you leave the last Thoughtseize in. I can see that too, but I think Thoughtseize is just is like maybe just your best card against blue white, I would think.
Yeah, like Thoughtseize has absolutely been like my best card. Like if that was the case, I think I would only bring in 1 go blank and keep in the 4 Thoughtseize.
Yeah, right. Like go blank, that has to be worse than Thoughtseize, right? In almost every situation there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see it. It's go blank.
I mean, yeah, like that. Like at the end of the day, that's your experience, and it's like I can't take that, away from you. Like my experience is like my side of it is that Thoughtseize has been like the best card for me. I would personally be keeping the 4 copies of Thoughtseize.
Alex does make a good point. He has 2 Dark Dwellers after board, so the go blanks do look nicer there when you have to do
they do.
Dark
Yeah,
Dwellers.
that is true. Yeah, that's fair point.
If you get to resolve a Dark Dwellers and a second go blank, yeah, blue white is probably not winning that game, I imagine. And you're kind of you're much happier then for the first go blank to get countered, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think I would still like cut a Trespasser over the 4 Thoughtseize, but I see the point that you're bringing in so many discard spells that all of a sudden like you still need to be able to slam a threat.
Very true.
My thinking there could be then that you only need 1 threat, because you've tore their hand apart, and then you play like the Chandra or you escape the Croxa or whatever it is, and you're hoping that they just don't have an answer to it. Yeah, like the more I talk about it, the more I don't actively hate it. Though, like my gutter, like whenever I first saw it, I was like, no way. The more we talk about it, though, like I understand the reasoning.
Yeah, because
it's something I might explore before the weekend, actually.
Nice, yeah. I was going to say, yeah, because there are a couple of sort of unintuitive wrinkles to the blue-white matchup as well, where you would think that, like, someone listening might think, wow, Threatlight, you got like 4 creature lands to attack with and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, but creature lands actually suck against both March of Otherworldly Light and Hall of Storm Giants if they're playing that card. So your creature lands don't do nearly as much work in the blue-white control matchup as you would think they would do, in my experience.
Yeah, they also
fine, but...
they also play multiple copies of Field of Ruin.
Yeah, exactly.
Good against
mana
lands. But then, like, if they are Field of Ruining your manlands, then your Castle Lochthwain
You get to keep your
is
castle. Yeah,
yeah.
that is the nice thing. You do have sort of a critical mass of value lands that they have to get rid of in the long game. But it's just funny because like I think in a lot of other formats, those creature lands would probably just be game winning by themselves against blue white. But it just doesn't really shake out that way in Pioneer.
Yeah, Blue White has decent answers. Like Wandering Emperor is a very good answer too. Let's not forget.
Yeah, yeah, that is a nice one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for the questions in chat there. Like, I think that was
Yeah, it's great. If anyone has other
yeah.
questions, feel free to fire away
Ask
here.
all the
Yeah,
questions. I'm not going to pretend that I have all the answers, but I will
yeah.
certainly do my best to answer any questions people have. Speaking of questions, Kieran.
Yeah, I mean, so we talked about your sort of dream matchups there, what you want to sit down and face. We've talked about mono green being particularly bad.
Yeah.
What are like the other sort of matchups you don't want to see on the day when you sit down on Saturday?
I don't want to. Hang on. Very important question in the chat. What is the best way to cook a sausage? I did say I would answer all questions.
There you go. You boil it in a coddle, obviously, right?
I was going to say fry, but sure.
No, I think the answer is fry.
Yeah, fry your
I
sausages.
don't. Do you guys have coddle up north, or is
I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Oh, it's like it's basically just like it's like a Dublin sort of like stew of just like whatever leftover shit that you have. It's usually like sausages, bacon, potatoes,
That sounds great.
stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. No, it's really good, but it's boiled is the thing, and like to some people, the idea of boiling a sausage is pure sin, you know. But to Dublin people, it's a great classic comfort food that your mammy used to make.
Brilliant. Thank you for the question, Jazzy. We will continue to answer any and all questions. But yeah, so decks that I am not looking forward to facing, pretty much anything that is looking to go over the top. So anything that like really wants to cast like 6 and 7 mana spells, for example, I don't want to. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know. Do not play your stupid 5 mana Forsaken Monument. Was that the stupid card that we played against on stream? Don't play your Forsaken Monuments against me, please. Don't be casting Titan of Industry against me. I can never beat that card. I actually played against like a budget version of Mono Green, and it still wiped the floor with me. Yeah, all they did was like, you know, play a Sylvan Caryatids on turn 2, and then like ramp into, you know, 1 ticket big green dudes that cost 5 mana plus, and like, okay, I'm dead. I'm like, can't beat this. So yeah, Niv Delight, I wouldn't really want to see.
It's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
The Niv itself is tough to kill, and they've just recouped so much value when they cast it that it's tough.
Yeah. So yeah, leave all those cards at home. Torrential Gearhall. I don't want to see anybody casting Indomitable Creativity against me. I don't think. Because like, it's very hard to interact with specifically Indomitable Creativity. If it was just Transmogrify, then sweet, I'll kill your creature in response. But Indomitable Creativity, targeting treasure tokens, like, okay, I can't do anything about that. Okay, you have Titan of Industry or a Torrential Gearhall can play. I guess I'm dead. It's casting Magma Opus. Oh yeah, sure. Like, yeah.
Oh, it's a pity you don't have any K commands to take out those treasure tokens.
Right. Let's simmer down with the K command talk.
All right.
Let's get that out of here. Let's get it out of your system.
I'm just a Colagon stan. I'm sorry.
No, I like. Yeah, obviously, Colligan's command in that specific scenario looking pretty good.
It's good in the matchup in general. You know, it's just a 2-for-1 against a sort of control deck.
Like, it's always a 2-for-1, but like, you know, it.
Yeah, but I mean, against a control deck, you need get back in the game with the 2-for-1 or whatever.
It's not a bad card. Yeah, it's not a bad card. I just don't think it's going to make my 75 come the weekend.
Fair, totally fair. So we said Niv to Light. I think, just you talking about 7 and 8 mana spells being cast. I think the most disgusting part about when your opponent resolves an Ugin is that they usually only have to like -3 it to clear your whole board, and it still just has a million loyalty, and you're just like, oh, disgusting.
Yeah, and like even if you like draw and cast Dreadbore on the Ugin, like okay, I mean I don't have a board. Don't know what I'm hoping to do here. Don't know what I'm
Yeah.
expecting. So yeah, it's hard. Those are the matchups I definitely don't want to see. Because yeah, just really tough. I don't want to play against tough matchups. I want to play against matchups where they're very even, or I'm crushing. So let's just leave it at that, will we? No,
Or
no
your
mono
opponent
runes,
most
please.
4 twice in a row.
Yeah, sure,
Those
I'll
are
take
pretty
it.
good matchups too.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not picky. If
Yeah.
all of my opponents mulligan to 3 come the weekends every single game, and I win the tournament, then I am going to hold that trophy aloft like it was the greatest accomplishment of my life.
I don't know how to tell you this, DJ, by the way, but I don't know when the last time you played a Gamers World tournament was, but probably since then, the Boojum around the corner has closed, so you can't get a delicious burrito for lunch between rounds, unfortunately. Sorry.
You fucking what?
Yeah, it's gone. The Boojum is gone. It's terrible. It's a disaster.
I actually don't care about Vision that much. I will
Oh,
be
really?
honest. Yeah.
It
Doing a
is,
bit. Doing a bit.
Okay, yeah. We could do a tier list of overrated, underrated Boojum.
Oh yeah, that would be a great
Yeah,
stream.
yeah.
Let's do that sometime.
You guys have Bunsen up there too, right?
We do have Bunsen. Yes, Bunsen's great.
Oh,
Yeah, love Bunsen.
top notch. Yeah.
Alex has said there is great, unreal Korean food. I am a big Korean food fan. Let's go get dinner at a Korean place. That sounds great.
Definitely, yeah. Cable Street just around the corner is like full of Korean restaurants. It's awesome.
Uh,
Yeah, Jazzy closed. I know it was always super busy. I don't know what the hell happened with it, but it's gone.
Connor in the chat as well. Go DJ. Notice he's talking to me. No,
Yeah,
there's no
you're the
Go
star.
Kieran in the chat.
Yeah, you're the star of the show. That's fine. I'm just here to facilitate. I don't even have the hoodie. I don't even have the official.
You don't even have the
merch.
hoodie. You
I
don't even have
the
it.
hoodie. All I have was this. I think it's Blood Incantation T-shirt, classic black metal logo.
Yeah.
Where you cannot possibly tell.
It looks
what
like
the name of the
somebody
band is.
sneezed on a black background,
Yeah.
and the snot has just dripped down, and they've just take a photo of that. That'll do.
Yeah, the filter doesn't really like looking at it either. But yeah, I don't know. I guess this is the Pocket Jaces sponsored by Blood Incantation podcast.
The Super Moosey has subscribed at tier 1 with Prime.
so
Thank
awesome.
you. That is awesome. Thank you very much for the subscription, Super Moosey. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I forgot we could get subs.
Yeah, right. We don't even get follows here, and somebody said that. Thank you so much. That has made our nights. We hope you stick
Yeah.
around for a long time.
No, that's awesome. And we actually, one thing we have to sort on the channel, DJ, is getting the sub emotes back up, because I had ones for when it was the Skullcrack channel.
Yeah.
But I think I've removed those now because it was like skull based. So we need to sort out some emotes.
Yeah, that's the next step on the journey then. Like maybe we did this out of order because we've got like the hoodie and we don't even have the sub emotes, so we might have done this out of order. Sorry guys. Fuck me, we have 2 subscriptions. Alex Ball has subscribed with
Alex.
Prime. 2 subscriptions in one stream. What is going on?
I know, this is crazy. The
Thank
funny
you
part
so
about
much,
this
Alex.
is, I think obviously this stream is going to go to the moon and we're going to end up with 1 million subscribers.
course.
But when I was streaming with Skullcrack, Twitch only send you the talk about RCQs. I mean, yeah, we've been doing it and we will continue to do it. Thank you so much, Super Boost.
Yeah, sorry, we're just kind of marking out a little because we don't often get subscribers. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, talk about RCQs.
But,
Super Moosey has
but,
paid
just-
for us to hear about RCQs. Let's talk about them. Go.
But just to finish that thought, yeah, when I was streaming with Skullcrack, it was like you get the occasional sub and stuff, and it was very nice. Twitch only actually sends you the money once you've hit like $100 threshold. So
right.
I think it took like almost the entire year before any money was actually sent to my bank account. But obviously this stream is going to be completely different. Oh, love it. Oh, you judged the core course EQs. That's awesome. I don't. Neither of us were
cool.
there.
Yeah, Cork's a
that
bit
makes
out
sense.
of the way for little Belfast me, unfortunately. But I don't know. Maybe if I hit the grind super hard, who knows? Like I have made the journey out that way before for PTQs. Yes, RCQs go before refunds are requested.
No, I know a friend of the show, Luke Scott, made the finals of the last Cork one, I believe.
How
Yes.
offended are you, by the
Modern
way, that he said at least I don't have to go on the podcast?
That was great. Yeah, we were talking about it. We were Kev Fogarty, friend of the show as well, was live texting us the finals games that happened, kind of what was happening on the turns, and we were like, oh, all marking out on the Discord. And then yeah, he lost, and his first message to us was, "At least I don't have to go on the show." We were like, "Thanks, Luke. Thanks, real nice."
Yeah, so we talked about matchups. I don't want to see matchups. I do want to see.
Hmm.
Yeah, do we have any more questions in chat, by the way? Do we have any more questions in chat, by the way? We have a hype train. Connor has
Holy
subscribed.
crap!
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much,
so much,
Connor.
Connor. It's awesome.
Yeah, we're just going to say that this is normal now.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, like it's normalized now. No, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Yes,
I'm
so
actually just we usually get at least 50 per stream, so we gotta rev it up here, guys.
yeah,
You
we
know
do.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Before the
let's
end.
get more subscriptions in, my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
Yeah, thanks very much. Really, really appreciate it.
But
So
yes, yeah. So we've gone through matchups. We've gone through the deck list. I don't know what more we have to talk about here, really, DJ. Can you think of anything we haven't covered?
Not overly, no. If we have any questions in chat, I am more than happy to take those. If you have missed some of the stream so far, we do have a YouTube channel that we're going to be uploading the VOD to. The VOD will also be available straight after the stream ends anyway, so you can hear about my opinions on certain matchups, on card choices, why I've kind of chosen and settled on red black. I guess one thing that could talk about is like where do I see red black in the future? I don't see it going away anytime
Hmm.
soon. I think the card choices and deck selection of red black specifically are so versatile that you can show up to any metagame as it currently stands and have a good shot. I have been seeing, I've heard rumblings of a Grixis mid-range deck, which
And
replaces Graveyard Trespasser with Corpse Appraiser
yeah,
specifically. I like that. I would be interested in trying that. That could be a future evolution of the deck.
you see that in Explorer. Like you do run into that quite a bit on Arena, and I think it definitely does beat Red Black straight up. I think Corpse Appraiser by itself is just a ridiculous
Oh, it's
value engine, right? Or
yeah,
not
yeah,
engine, but just a ridiculous value
yeah.
card.
You get their Crocs out of the bin, and then
Get
have great
gets a
card
draw
selection.
with
Yeah,
selection. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
So good.
amazing. Like, and the thing is, like, yeah, if mono red isn't that much of a presence and you don't mind playing all those shock lands, could be a really good choice. Yeah, I would say I would just be a little scared. And the thing is, it probably has the same bad matchup against mono green, right? Like, you have access to counter spells on the board, maybe, or something like that, which would improve things.
You do start playing copies of Drown in the Luck.
Yeah,
I have no idea how that card performs, having never played against it or played with it in
I
this particular
in the matchup,
format.
I don't think it does that much because their graveyard isn't really getting filled
Yeah,
up.
that
You know?
that was my first impression.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have Tig in the chat saying that it's OP.
How's it
So
going, Tug?
uh,
Grixis or Corpse Appraiser, I presume, is what we're talking about. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
and Joe saying Scarab God is a pain to deal with as well in Grixis. Yeah, like Scarab God's one of my favorite cards of all time, actually. So like, I think I'm convinced I want to cast the Scarab God.
I've been
I'm
thinking
doing it.
about that recently too. I've been like, can I play a blue-black control deck? I don't want to play Grixis control. I want to play like Esper or blue-black. I love Scarab God so much, but I don't know, man. I feel like I just don't think it's quite there for Pioneer. I don't think it's even there for Explorer, to be honest.
Fuck you.
I'm sorry. I own like 8 copies actually of Scarab God
Really?
because
Okay.
yeah, because I loaned someone my 4 copies for a tournament, forgot who I loaned them to, and was like, I need another 4 copies for another tournament. I got them back, and then like 6 months later, got the original 4 back, which has turned out to be a pretty good investment because I think I bought them for like 20 each, and they're probably still more expensive than that
Yeah,
now because of Commander and stuff.
you know what? I did the same thing with 4 copies of Japanese Scalding Tarns from Zendikar. I loaned them to somebody who, a little unscrupulous. Let's put it that way. A little
Oh no.
yeah. I never saw those again.
Mm.
So there are 4 Japanese Scalding Tarns out there that I suppose like legally should belong to me, but they're probably sitting in some like dealer's binder for €200 a piece or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, that one sucked. That one sucked. Your Scarab God story just kind of reminded me of the fact that I lost out on those Scalding Tarns, which kind of sucks.
That sucks. I have a great Scalding Tarn buying story, which is that was like initially when I very first got into Magic was when Zendikar was out, and I decided I wanted to put together like a cheap-ish sort of standard deck. So I put together blue-red Pyromancer's Ascension combo, um, which I don't even know what the deck did. I think it won with like Hive Mind and Pacts or something like that. I can't remember what it did. But the first cards I bought for it from Gamers World were 4 Scalding Tarns, and I think they were like €8 each or something because it was in standard and had just been printed at the time or something like that. Disgusting. So I still have those now, which is nice.
So good. So good. So we have Joe in chat saying, as Red Black had 0 answers for Scarab Gods. Yes, that is very true. How does Kalidas interact with Scarab Gods? I assume it just exiles Scarab God?
The Scarab God will just get exiled. Yeah.
There you go. So there is an out. It's just a little awkward to set up. It's similar to Arclight Phoenix in that way. I have found that I board out my Kalidas in that matchup. Whenever you'd think that, you get to kill Arclight Phoenix and exile it forever, that seems really good. It's in practice much more awkward to set up. I have found, so I don't have Kalidas in that matchup.
No, we talked about that before. It's one of those funny ones where you think the card should be at least good, but it just turns out it's slow and bad in the matchup.
Connor saying I bought CHN. What's the CHN?
I think Chinese.
Chinese Tarns from Games World Binder for €20 each back in the day. Sound investment. Very, very good. Yeah. So we had a shop in Belfast called Serenity, and our good friend and former host, part-time host of the show, Niall Graham, was the shopkeeper of said store. Pro Tour Paris happened. Stoneforge Mystic was the breakout card, and I am ashamed to say that I went straight into that store the next day to see if they had if Niall had updated the price of the Stoneforge Mystics in the binder. He had not. They were still sitting at like £3 each, and I bought every single copy of Stoneforge Mystic from that binder, knowing full well what I was doing, that they were actually like £15 at that point, £20 or something, and she's like, yeah, here you go. There's all the Stoneforge Mystics. I think there is maybe 6 in the binder.
That's not so bad.
Dean, when DJ tweeted asking for the worst card you've ever registered and constructed, I really wanted to say Scarab God, but luckily I'm too smart to have actually ever played it. Well, I mean, yeah, there's that. Cool, I guess.
Same. This at the previous podcast I was on, Skullcrack. I think we were the biggest Scarab God fans in the world, apart from maybe Jerry Thompson and Brian Gottlieb, who obviously were they were the Scarab God kind of influencers at that time. I feel like,
maybe they were trying to make the world an easier place.
Was the win con. Yeah, for Pyromancer's Ascension. Yeah, you played like, was it Part the Water Veil or something like that? I can't remember what the card was. Yeah.
I think we're reaching kind of like the natural conclusion of this discussion. Like, if anybody has any questions about Red Black, the matchups of Red Black, card choices, or if anybody just has any questions about Pioneer in general, I am happy to stick around for 10 minutes and answer those questions. Very, very happy to do so. If anybody wants to ask the best way to cook a sausage, sure, I'll answer it again. So yeah, more than happy to stick around. And if you do want to hear like the important beats of this discussion, like I say, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel where I upload all the VODs from these streams too, or you can just watch the VOD straight after this. But we would love it if you went over to YouTube and subscribed there. That would be pretty cool.
Yep. No, awesome stuff. Convery, is Dean asking what is the worst card to have ever seen constructed play?
He's saying Scarab God is the worst card to have ever seen constructed play. The history of Magic the Gathering, when people played 2 mana 2/2s with downside, the Scarab God is the worst card to have ever seen constructed play.
I'm just glad this heat wave is broken because I think the temperature that take would have literally like just burned my flesh off otherwise.
I think it would have caused like the heat death of the universe
Hmm.
in and of itself. It would have like taken all the heat in that moment, and then just the rest of the universe just dies. It's gone.
Joe says if that was the question, yeah, Serrated Arrows is probably the worst card. Yeah, that was part of that thing where people had to play a certain amount of alliances or homeland cards or whatever, right, in the Pro Tour. So people just put Serrated Arrows in their sideboard. I think it's a classic old school story.
Control
Control
decks
decks
play.
played with no creatures in the deck. That's true.
Yeah, you take all their creatures.
Yeah, Floodplain is that the tap? The tap
Floodplain
fetch
sounds
line?
familiar. I think it sounds like a fetch land. Hang on.
I think it's like the bad fetch lands from whatever that set was.
Floodplain enters the battlefield tapped. The card is still loading. And sacrifice it, search library for plains or island, put it on the battlefield, then show. Yeah, so it's tapped fetch lands.
Mirage, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. Ishan Shades. I have never heard of Ishan Shades, so this is going to be good.
Let's look this one up. I have no idea what this is either.
Ishan Shades is 6 mana, 5/5, protection from white. That is the text.
Too bad.
3 black, 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 5/5 protection from white. It's also a legend, so you can play multiple.
Oh yeah, that is kind of an issue, isn't it?
Oh yeah, like it's not the fact that 6 mana, 5/5 is a pretty bad rate or anything.
True. I think fuck, what is the name of the card again? Path of Sorrow? Sorrow's Path? Sorrow's Path. Yeah, have you ever seen this? It's never saw play, but it may be the worst Magic card ever printed, I think.
Oh come on!
Do you know this land?
One with nothing exists, so I'm not sure about that. But let's see. Sorrow's Path, MTG.
Read this out and give me the evaluation.
Okay. I do recognize this art, so this card is somewhere in the brain, but anyway. It's a land. It does not tap for any mana. Tap, exchange 2 of opponent's blocking creatures. This exchange may not cause an illegal block. Sorrow's Path deals 2 damage to you, and 2 damage to each creature you control whenever it is tapped. That one is really bad.
Yeah, that's... I would love to see someone who has come up with a Sorrow's Path deck to somehow make this card work, but I'm not sure if it's possible.
So like, what's the point? Just block the creatures correctly and an opponent controls. Okay, yeah, but still like, yeah, whatever.
But
okay.
It just kills your guys.
Yeah, that one's pretty bad. You have to rate these things on a curve depending on their era. Yeah, surely that card's still really bad for the era as well.
Yeah, it's probably worth a lot of money because it's on the reserve list.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's check the market. What's the cheapest Sorrow's Path I can find? Okay, no, you can get it for like €2.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say let's make a game out of this, but
okay, yeah.
No, we could do we could bring back the post show, game or quiz. So the card that stands out for me, other than like one with nothing, I think it's like the easy, almost lazy answer for worst card ever printed. The one that always comes back to me is Chimney Imp. Do you know what a Chimney Imp does?
I think I did at some point, but now I can't remember.
Okay, so Chimney Imp was only printed in Mirrodin, so like there's almost no excuse. Because this card would have been even really bad if it was like printed in like one of those really early sets where all the creatures sucked. There's no excuse for this. 4 and a black, flying. When Chimney Imp is put into your graveyard from play, target opponent puts a card from his or her hand on top of his or her library.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right.
What are the stats of this card?
It's gonna be like a 1/2 or something, isn't
It's
it?
exactly a 1/2.
Yeah.
It's exactly a 1/2. Like
okay, but it's it's a 1-for-1. If it ever dies, before it dies, it's not looking so good.
yeah, Chimney Imp is one of my pet worst cards of all time. I believe I was part of a group called the Chimney Imp Appreciation Society once.
Excellent, love it. Yeah.
Great, just a great group name.
And speaking of old cards, like I feel like this one is still bad enough, even though it's from Alpha. Wood Elemental, just one of the funniest cards
Oh,
ever printed, I think.
yeah. Wood Elemental is a bad one.
Yeah. For
Um,
those who don't know, I'll
yeah, go for it.
uh, so it's a green card, 3 and a green, summon elemental. I'll just read the oracle text. As wood elemental enters the sorry, and it's a star. As wood elemental enters the battlefield, sacrifice any number of untapped forests. Wood elemental's power and toughness are each equal to the number of forests sacrificed as it entered the battlefield. So you have to pay 4 mana, and you can't even sack those lands that you paid for it. You have to
Yeah.
sack other untapped lands.
Mm-hmm.
So was it Legends? I thought it was from Alpha. Damn. It is from Legends, you're right. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so you can pay 8 mana and sack 4 lands to get a 4/4. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
That's probably the sweet spot, I would say.
yeah, I think why isn't Mono Green playing this card? Like it's really good for your devotion, right?
Um no, it's 3 and 1 green. It doesn't even have the green pips, even though you have to sacrifice forests.
Okay, fine. Like I had in my head 4 green mana symbols for some reason, but
No, that makes more
outside of that,
sense. But
I outside of that, like who cares if it is making more devotion whenever you can have a 2/2. Like, come on.
yeah, 6 mana
Let's go.
2/2 essentially, and you sack 2 lands.
Don't give them ideas. Okay, fine. I will not try and convince the mono green players to put Wood Elemental in their deck. You're right. I am sorry. I apologize
really good.
profusely. Yeah. I mean, not. Yeah. I'm not. Don't think there's any questions coming through in the chat.
No, I think we can probably wrap it up here, right? I think this feels like a good place to end.
I think so as well. Yeah. Yeah. Just before we go, I want to say huge thank you. 3 subscribers in one stream is huge. So thank you very much to all of you.
Super
Alex,
appreciate it. And for
Connor,
just followers too.
and
Awesome. Yeah.
the Super Moosey as well. Thank you so much for the subscriptions. All our followers who, just thank you for being here. Thank you for interacting in the chat. It makes these streams a lot more fun to do. Make sure, if you haven't already, hit the follow button, and you can turn on notifications as well if you want to know when we go live. You can follow us on Twitter to also know when we go live, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel if you ever miss a stream. You can catch all our VODs on there. Just thank you so much, guys, for being here. I think what we'll do is we will send you guys off to a raid, to another streamer. Kieran, do you have any ideas who we should be sending?
Let's go to my friend Sophie, who is Ms. Cupcakes, MS Cupcakes.
Okay.
She's not streaming Magic, but she's a good lady.
All right. Cool. Can you handle that raid in the chat, or do you need me to do it?
Yeah. I don't know if I can do it.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Streaming.
So, everyone, thanks so much for joining in.
I just typed the name in there, so you can just copy paste.
Cool. And we will send you off to Miss Cupcakes. So yeah, that is awesome. Thanks, guys.
Cool, guys. Talk to you soon.